And I'm going to turn on the closed captioning for anybody that needs to use it. Or it's actually on. You guys can toggle it if you would like it. A few more people getting in. All right, let's get started. I want to welcome everybody to our Inclusive Learning Circle series, fostering synergy between UDL, AT, and AAC. Today's topic is all about empowering learner agency with assistive technology. And this session is about exploring how AT can help students take control of their own learning. So if you follow the QR code in the tiny URL, it'll take you to a rolling home-based document. It's also been dropped into the chat, so you can find all the links and the slide and all the resources we'll be talking about today. A little bit of housekeeping before we start. For those of you who may not know who Open Access is, we are one of the statewide special education resource lead within the statewide system of support. And we're grounded in the foundation of belief that with access to quality instruction, all of our students can engage, actively participate, and learn with an inclusive setting. What makes our project really unique is that we highlight the importance of learning and participation for all through UDL, Universal Design for Learning, assistive technology, and augmentative and alternative communication. You can bookmark our website to access free universal resources for educators and administrators, all designed to support the implementation of UDL, AT, and or AAC. If you'd like more information, you can click on the image and it'll detail kind of our one-page flyer of our approach for assisting LEAs and SELPA statewide. The link is also on our home-based document. We always like to say we are a small but mighty team. We have an executive leader led by Troy Tickle. We have Leah Padilla and Lori Balsano Wright. They are our wonderful coordinators. And Emily Desjardins, myself, and Jennifer Wright, we are the content leads. And we also have a wonderful admin assistant, Melody Purdy, who supports us. Here at Open Access, we're really committed to UDL principles and making our presentation as accessible as possible. Some of the strategies that you may see today include simple background with high contrast text, providing access to digital and print materials whenever possible, and you can access our slide deck using tiny URL or QR code. And we provide text, alt text for all of our images, and we try to share examples as well as non-examples for topics and concepts. And throughout our presentation, we really encourage participation and feedback from you guys. This is just kind of a quick resource page to make sure that you have what you need for today's session. Open Access has all of those supports and resources I mentioned earlier, and then our home-based document can be accessed on the URL or by scanning with a camera or an iPad or whatever device fits your need at the moment. I want to introduce some of the amazing presenters joining us on today's call. Like I mentioned, I'm Mimi Zimlik. I'm with Open Access, but we also have Andrea Wells. She is a program specialist and the head of the Assistive Technology Center with Sonoma County SELPA. And then we also have Rudy Marticorina. Did I say that right, Rudy?
Yes, very good.
Great. And he's the ATC ATOT specialist also with Sonoma County SELPA, and they bring up their wonderful expertise and voice to the discussion as well. And I want to take a moment to thank you all for being here today. I know that time is really precious, and we're excited to be here with you this afternoon. All right. Now, if you've been to open access training, you know we like to start off with an inclusive welcome. And we didn't come up with this. This is part of the CASTLE, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning Playbook. And there are lots of different ways you can do this practice. But the purpose is just to increase engagement and connection to another before we start any type of training or presentation. And since we're talking about learner agency today, I want to specifically call that agency isn't just something we design for our students, right? It's something we experience too. So I want you to take a moment to think about a time you had a choice that mattered. So this is the prompt, right? Think of a moment when you felt you had agency in your learning or work, and what choice were you able to make, and how did you feel? Now, as you're thinking about that, I'm going to open up the whiteboard and we're going to play around with this idea. And I'm going to post the prompt. And then I want you guys encourage you to give a response, a heart, light, whatever floats your boat. You could even doodle if that's the space you're in right now. So I'm actually going to stop sharing and then open up the whiteboard. All right. We should all be able to see a whiteboard here. You see my little pencil wiggle on. I see Rudy. I see Lori jumping on. And for those of you who may not be familiar with whiteboard, I'll kind of do a quick little tutorial. And this may be something you want to consider the next time you're working with students or doing a presentation yourself. I'm going to drop a quick post-it notes with the prompt here so we have a point of reference. And then for you, you could either just, there's a little reaction button right here. You can click and you can react to it. You can do your own post-it notes as your response. You could just do a plain text. You can draw some shapes. You can write a freehand, lots of different ways to interact. So feel free to think about the prompt and go ahead and just play with the whiteboard at your leisure. And I'm going to set a timer. We'll have about 5 minutes in here to play with this, all right? And have fun. And if you need help accessing any of the features, please let me know. You're also welcome to kind of drop your response in the chat if you don't really feel like playing with the whiteboard at this moment. You can unmute yourself and share as we're doodling. Any and all forms are greatly appreciated and welcome. I'm loving the doodling, guys. I have some response. We're learning to draw my own by observation. Oh, great. And I get a lot of agency in my work where I can task in ways that are meaningful to me. Great. Some hearts and some stars, some squiggly line. Oh, what is beautiful. I see somebody playing with the kind of poles. Oh, love it. We have some hearts on the post-it notes. I love that you guys are playing with some of the features in it. And that's fun, right? When do we get to just play sometimes and just experiment and learn as we're doing? Oh, we got some mind mapping going on over there.
We've got some creativity in this group.
Right? I like
Yes.
love it. For those that, oh, well, that's a couple of people coming in. For those that are just joining us right now, we're just kind of doodling on a whiteboard, taking a moment to reflect on agencies we've experienced ourselves. So the prompt is think of a moment when you had agency in your learning or work, and what choice were you able to make, and how did that make you feel? It'll take about a minute more, or maybe end the timer a little bit earlier if we're all done sharing. Oh, somebody found a cube. I love it. We have a response that said, was given the choice to choose whether I wanted to make report written, audio, or visual. I'm gonna do a follow-up question of how did that make you feel when you had lots of those options? Great feeling. Thank you. This is too great. I'm gonna have to slip. There we go. Perfect. Wrap up very shortly. I'm gonna snip this beautiful whiteboard so we can look at this later. All right. I'm going to exit out of the whiteboard and go back to sharing our screen. Thank you for everybody for participating. Really appreciate that. All right. Let's get back to. All right. So it's kind of that little exercise was just to show, it's kind of fun when we get to choose how we want to express our learning, right? Or even what we're thinking in that moment. It could be a simple, quick thing as throwing up a whiteboard and letting people share their expression in whatever way that moves them in that moment. So for our learning goal for today, we just have some simple three goals today. We want to understand how assistive technology can build learner agency and what that looks like in the classroom, perhaps. We'll explore a continuum of tools that support student choice and ownership. And then it's the hope at the end you'll think of at least one strategy or tool that you may want to intentionally implement or apply to help build learner agency in your classroom or learning environment. And this is what our session path will look like for today. We'll dive into kind of talking about what is learner agency and the AT continuum, which I know most of you are familiar with, so I'll just kind of keep it short. And hopefully we'll spend the majority of time together exploring the different types of tools that could support learner agency or looking at tools that we already know about and how that connects to learner agency. And so that will look like sharing some idea from no low-tech tool across core academic areas. And then we'll talk about specifically Book Creator, Reading Mode, and Learn Your Way. So if you guys have heard about any of these tools, we encourage you to kind of share your experience and expertise with the group as well. And then we'll end our time together just reflecting questions and answer and some wrap up. Okay, so let's just develop a shared understanding of what learner agency. Learner agency is all about giving students control and voice in their learning, right? It's just not about the tools themselves. It's about helping students really recognize their needs and make decision about what works best for their learning. And ultimately, we want students to make intentional choices, take ownership of how they learn, and to also advocate for themselves for what works for them. For those that may be familiar with open access and the work we do with Universal Design for Learning, you may remember that learner agency is the ultimate goal for the UDL framework. And for those that may be new to UDL, UDL is basically a teaching framework based on research in how we learn as human beings that thinks about flexible methods and how to develop those materials and environments that embraces variability, minimizing barriers, and develop learner agency for all. If you're interested in learning more about UDL, Open Access offers free in-person, asynchronous, and virtual training around UDL, and you can visit the CAS website, cas.org, who are the creator of UDL framework, to learn even more. And all of those links are on the slide deck in the home base document. Okay, so let's do a quick little reminder of the AT continuum. When we talk about assistive technology, you'll often hear the idea of the AT continuum, right? Many times that just describes the level of tools, no or low tech, mid tech, and high tech. For this session, we're thinking about the continuum a little bit more broadly. It's not just about the tools themselves, but also the strategies, the modeling, and the support that make these tools usable for our students. And this is especially important when we think about learner agency. Tools alone don't create access or independence. How the tools are introduced, practiced, and embedded into learning is what really allows the student to actually make choices and take ownership of their learning. So as we move into the tools today, notice how we're not jumping straight into high-tech tools or the AI tools. We're starting with no and low tech tools because that's the foundation for independence and agency. That's where students need to begin at before they can start using more complex tools successfully. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrea. She's going to talk to us about NoLec tool and how it can connect to learner agency.
Thanks, Mimi. Hi, everybody. When we talk about no-tech or low-tech tools, they're really these typically low-cost, readily available tools and they often require little to no training. You'll see some examples here in the slide. These are items that are typically found in classrooms and just readily available to all students. These tools are a great starting point when considering both from a universal design for learning perspective and assistive technology perspective. They are useful options for all students and essential for some who rely on them to access the curriculum. Because they're inexpensive and easy to acquire, they're often the first place we look when problem-solving tools are needed. So some of these examples include the slant board. This is, readily available and provides a more comfortable, accessible position for reading and for writing. We also have pencil grips to make writing more comfortable and position fingers in a more functional way. They're also kind of cool sometimes for some students. We also have reading guides to help the learner keep their place, remove visual clutter, and focus on text being read. And then also readily available, and we often see our graphic organizers to help students see the relationships between concepts and give structure to help them organize writing tasks. Another great low-tech, no-tech tool are the WikiSticks, and these are used as stencil guides for drawing letters, numbers, and shapes. They help with space planning. These tools might be simple, but they are incredibly powerful. No-tech and low-tech tools are often the most immediate way students experience independence. Because these tools are visible and they're simple, students don't need permission or a technology access to use them. Additionally, when we make them available to all students rather than some students, we're providing opportunities for exploration and access for everyone. These tools when you think about it, really lower that cognitive load so students can focus their energy on learning and not necessarily managing a tool. They also help students practice making these really small choices, which is a critical foundation for learner agency, that experimentation. The tools help students practice awareness and experimentation, as I shared, and students can try the tools and see what they like the best, what works for them, what doesn't work, and they start to recognize what helps them learn and how they might be able to begin to communicate that. For a classroom example, students select a checklist instead of waiting for help, and students may use fidgets to focus during independent work. Notice how in these examples, students are given opportunities to make their own choices. Because many no and low-tech tools require very little direct instruction to use, we can shift our focus now on how we intentionally set up the classroom to build learner agency using these supports. In the classroom, learner agency can be built by making no and low-tech tools visible, accessible, and available to all students through intentional stations. So for example, in a reading station, reading guides, sticky notes, highlighters, and adapted books. Maybe in a writing station, adapted paper, slant boards, and pencil grips. Here's a quick video that shows examples of tools that could be included in a writing station.
Some children with fine motor difficulties can benefit from simple pencil adaptations. Other children may need adapted paper with bigger spaces, different colored lines, or raised lines. A great way to add raised lines is to use WikiSticks or Benderoos. Children may also benefit from having a slanted surface to write on. For an easy adaptation, you can clip a piece of paper to the cover of a 3-inch binder. For children who can't use a writing tool, you can pre-make letters and words on magnets, index cards, or stamps. Alternative programmable keyboards provide a special overlay that customize the appearance and function of the keyboard. Some have a special cover or key guard to isolate the keyboard's keys to help stabilize and position fingers or pointers. Alternative mice allow the child to move the computer cursor more easily with or without their hand.
So going back to our classroom examples and thinking about providing assistive technology, no-tech, low-tech tools in stations, we also have timers and fidgets, seat cushions, and checklists that really help to focus, to support focus and regulation, self-regulation. Maybe in a math station, we might consider manipulatives, calculators, and math fact sheets. It's important to remember that these tools still need to be introduced with intention. Students should understand the purpose of each tool and expectations for appropriate use, which we build through modeling and opportunities for practice, and sometimes some direct instruction. Each station supports a different learning need where different barriers may be present, and students are encouraged to explore and select the tools that work best for them. This approach shifts tools from being special supports to becoming a natural part of everyday learning and a natural part of the classroom environment. Open Access has an AT Flip Kit on our Open Access page that has a strand for no and low tech tools to help give you ideas. We have the link for that in the home-based document. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Mimi, who's going to tell us a little bit about Book Creator.
Thanks so much, Andrea. If we have time later on, I'll kind of run through the AT Flip Kit for those of you who aren't familiar with it. But if we run out of time, it's on the home-based document, and I can stay later if anybody is interested in exploring that more. All right, so that was our, no and low tech tool, really powerful. And the way we set it up in the classroom can really help build that learner agency, right? Kiddos can go and when they know it's a certain academic time and they know the tools are available, they can choose what works for them and they can choose to use it or not use it. A really great way to start that learner agency building. Okay.
Yeah, and Mimi, I just wanted to add on that as an OT, those are kind of some of the tools in our wheelhouse. I often would set up areas with, for example, with the grips. A lot of times there were several options in a box, and then the kids can pick and choose. And then, so when the kid picks one that they like, they have more buy-in. And or I'd set up writing stations with, everybody had a slant board. We'd use the binders or something else, and so now it's not just that one student; they all have it, and again, more buy-in for that.
I love it. I know, Rudy, you mentioned this is so in Rudy's wheelhouse too, as an OT. You mentioned the feeling of like, oh, they have more buy-in. What did you notice about how kids were in terms of attention, behavior, choice, a lot of how they were feeling when they had to do tasks, but they knew what tools worked best for them?
So you take something like a student who's struggling with writing, for example, the last thing they want to look at is a pencil, but you put a grip that they've selected on there. It's like, oh, well, now I want to write with the grip that I picked. So as an example, so it's you pair something that they really don't like with something that they do like, and then now you get participation.
I love it. So increased participation, maybe a little bit more motivation. I would love to hear from kind of the group, whether you can unmute yourself or drop in the chat. What's your experience been like when using kind of no and low tech tools and pairing it with choice for your students?
I think everyone's driving, Mimi.
Oh, are they? Yeah, but if it comes up, please share. Remember, this is kind of just a collective group that I know you guys have so much expertise and experience being out in the field or working with educators or years of experience. We'd love to kind of hear your input as well.
In addition to I love having them readily available, just the excitement for students to see that everybody gets to use them, that they're not different, and that they're learning from each other, new and creative ways that they might be implemented. Yeah.
And that holding that space for them to try, right? To experiment. Hey, I don't really like writing on the slanted one, but somebody else may love it. Or this pencil feels funny, but somebody else really enjoy it. So that ability to kind of experiment in this space that's being held for them can be really powerful. All right. Oh, I love it. Malaya said, digital graphic organizers help in writing classes, particularly in creating essay outlines. Oh, I love it. Great low-tech tool to use, or no tech.
Yeah. I'd love to get your your source for the digital, like if there's one that you like, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'd love to pick that up
Oh, that's
for
great.
those
And
digital graphic organizers. Yeah.
yeah. And I'll add whatever kind of resource you share into the home-based document so everybody can kind of have a place to reference that as well. Okay, so Book Creator, this kind of we're going to talk about that next. Book Creator is a digital tool for creating interactive multimedia books that allow users to combine text, image, audios, and videos to make reports, portfolios, stories, and really so much more. Kind of your imagination is really your limit to what you want to use this for. Book Creator can be used on Chromebook, iPad, PC, Mac via browsers. A quick temperature check. Has anybody used Book Creator in their schools or districts? Either thumbs up, drop it in the chat. Ooh, Lucidchart, that's a good one too. Okay, it looks like Sarah's used it. I would love to hear more about your experience. What have you liked about it so far? How have your teachers or students responded, Sarah?
We've used it a little bit, and like, less of like the teachers using it and more of kind of like us like playing around with it. But yeah, it's nice that it has all those features to really make the text accessible, and you can kind of play around with how that looks to like differentiate it for different learners so that they can access.
Perfect. So you guys kind of are in the exploring this tool phase a little bit. All right. So these are some of the features of Book Creators. Book Creators allow students to choose how they want to express their understanding through text, audio, video, or image, like I mentioned earlier. There's also really a lot of built-in accessibility features to remove barriers without needing a separate tool. The company was very mindful about this and have created like a whole section on their website that talks about their accessibility promise and supports. Within Book Creators, users have access to speech to text, built-in screen readers, visual adjustments, open dyslexic fonts, and that's just to name a few of them. Students have control over what they include and how they organize their thinking. Adding content and formatting is also pretty intuitive. And this tool can be used across grade level and across all subjects. And the books can be as simple or as complex as a user wants to be. So if you're curious more about kind of the accessibility feature, we've dropped the link in the slide deck and also on the home-based document. You can dive deeper into that if you would like. Okay, so what's the connection with Book Creator and Learner Agency? So there's this term, right, called ownership of learning artifacts. And what that means is that the student is able to create, control, revise, explain a product that represents their learning. The student can decide how they want to show what they know and why it matters to them. So that gives the students confidence and responsibility for their own learning. And this tool is about independence in creation and allow the students to review and reflect in their book, which supports ownership of learning. So in the end, it's just not about, hey, I did this homework, I turned it in, it's a project, I'm done with it, right? It's much more meaningful for them because they've gotten a lot of autonomy to kind of express their learning. So what that may look like in a classroom example, let's say if you're a class and you're using it, a student may choose to do an audio explanation instead of writing, right? Or another student may decide, hey, you know what? I'm feeling like I want to tell my story through a visual story with images, and maybe I'll throw in some text. So really, Book Creator allows it to cater students' strengths and preference. And we all know that when we have some connection to the way we want to express it and the learning, we may be more encouraged to want to participate fully. In the Book Creator demo section, I'm going to do a couple of things, okay? We're going to start watching a quick 60-second demo video of what you can do with Book Creator. They do a really nice job showing like all the different features in a short amount of time. And then next, I'm going to show you some books created by educators for how to use Book Creator in your classroom. And then lastly, I'm going to show you a book my daughter created. I used her as a guinea pig for this program. And so we'll walk through it to show you the different ways that we can play around with Book Creator. So we'll start our 60 seconds overview.
So to give you an idea of what Book Creator is, I've created this 60-second video that will give you a quick glimpse into how the program works.
And I really love the option that they have for however you want to engage and make your book. They made option for that. I don't know if you noticed the part, maybe for our multilingual learners, if you wanted to kind of share your expertise in your language, what a great way to build learner agency, right? We can share with others our identity, part of our language identity. Thought that was neat. So that was a really brief idea of what all you can do with Book Creator. The next one I want to showcase is the full screen is in Book Reader. There's a section called Using Book Creator in the Classroom. Are you guys able to see this part? And so they've partnered with lots of different educators in the field, and they have asked them to create these books, and these live permanently in the Book Creator library. And so if you just take a quick look, right, you can, there's a book all about how to do formative assessment using Book Creator, is supporting our language learner. We touched a little bit on that. Are you trying to create books around science? Lots of different ways. The librarian has created one. The one book I want to show you specifically is called this one, called Differentiate Learning. And Rosie McQuillan, she's an educator that partnered with her, and she made this book. And I'm going to just go ahead and click it, and you can read now. And so she made a book in Creator about how you can differentiate learning in your classroom. And if you look, she did a quick little video introduction, introducing who she is, what the book is about. You do the table of contents. And it's just a great way to see how you can use the book to share information. But I want to show you some real life example of how students are using it. Let me see if I could do it. Ooh. Give me 1 second about the other. Bear with me as I flip through the page and show you a little bit what you can do. She did the different chapters, and she is aligning her content with UDL, Universal Design for Learning. So she talks about multiple means of engagement, representation, and action and expression. And what I'm trying to show you is I wanted to show you a book that was created by a classroom of students to showcase how they use Book Creator in there. So give me a second as I flip through the book, and you can kind of see the different ways and the different accessibility features she's using as well. Let's see if here we go. So this book was created by a group of students. I think they were 4th or 5th grade, and they made a social skills book. We're going to watch that really quick. And you see you have the option here for it to read to you if you didn't feel like reading. But they made a little short intro video about it. They said this is the program manager in the school. But the boys made books about what are some ways that you don't interrupt people. And they videotaped themselves and put it in the book. And then they kind of recorded themselves saying what were the rules and some practices. So this was a group of students making this book. So lots of options. This one, obviously, they're trying to work on social skills, volume 1. Hopefully they were volume 2 and 3 as well, but lots of different ways. So if I press it.
Here are the reasons why the interruptions in the video that were good. Number 1, he approached the group in a calm voice. Jack made good eye contact. Number 3, Jack didn't yell out and he said, "Excuse me."
They're really fun tools for students to kind of take ownership of sharing what they know about the social skills, right? All right, so we've put the link in the home-based document. You can explore that later. The last thing I want to show you, and I want to give you a little bit background. So my daughter's 8 years old. She has about what I would say average digital skills, right? She uses an iPad at home. She uses a Chromebook at school. So what I would consider average skills for an 8-year-old. When I was practicing with this tool, I didn't give her much prompt. She watched the same intro video as me. She got really excited. She's very creative, and she saw all those options and wanted to just dive in. I didn't give her any tutorial on how to use the program. I just signed her up, logged her in on Safari on her iPad, and then she went to town. And so this is what she came up with. These were the books she made, and this is the book she created. So pretty intuitive, right? She was really able to, she figured out how to write the words with like a pen, to insert a picture, draw heart, change colors. So she was really into books a lot, cats a lot lately. So this book is all about cats. She made her own. She did a combination of typing the words and also using the speech to text function as well. She was able to navigate that on her own. So they snuggle with their siblings and they look great in costumes and cutely get stuck in trees. And then she wrote herself meow meow. And the kittens are human and destined to be best friends. So I asked her, did you know how to spell the word destined? She's like, no, I used the spell checker thingy. So she figured that out on her own, all very intuitive. And then what I thought, and then this was, and don't you ever forget it, meow. I thought it was very interesting. She figured out how to end her story, italicizing, changing the font color. So it was like your last ending image. Just really showcase that giving time, interest, motivation. They're able to really create some fun thing with very minimal direct teaching from me. I thought that was kind of fun on my part to kind of watch her do that. So I thought I would share that with you guys. All right. Does anybody have any questions so far about Book Creator? One of the nice things is that you can create a free account for a teacher and you get up to 40 free books. And so if you have a classroom and you have X amount of students, potentially you could have one book for each student for free just to trial it out. And then depending on if you wanted to buy it monthly or annually, they have different fee structures for individual purchase or district as well. Okay.
Mimi, I had a question. Is that just web-based, or is there like an iOS version of it as well, like an app?
So you open it via a web base on you can buy an iOS version, but that's a separate, like you have to pay for the app itself, but you can open it for free on the Safari browser.
Okay.
Right? Great segue. I'm going to turn it over to Rudy. He's going to tell us a little bit more about reading mode and Learn Your Way.
All right. I'm not sure of the audience. I'm not sure how, I know we have like some experts way above my level, and perhaps there's some new learners to the assistive tech world like myself. So if you guys already know about reading mode, then I would be called a noob, as the kids would say. But to me, it's like I'm highlighting it because it's like I could think back a few years back when I found the speech to text tool in Chrome. And I would go around showing all the teachers, and then, or if I was in a training, I would highlight it to the point now where like I'm gonna highlight it, and people are like, "Oh yeah, we already know. We use that." Like it's just like second nature. So again, I found reading mode in Chrome. It's a free accessibility tool, and so now I'm all excited about it, and I don't know how many people already know about it. So, anyways, if anybody is like, I know that, I use that, everybody uses it, let me know in the chat or something. Or if you're new to it, then cool, you can be excited like me. So essentially, and the reason I'm highlighting Chromebook tools is at least in our area, Chromebook is, everybody has a Chromebook. And then, a lot of times I'm trying to introduce like these third-party programs like Read and Write or, some other work, and I'm like jumping through hoops to try to connect this third-party vendor with the district and get things on board for the student. Whereas, reading mode is just that built-in accessibility right into the Chrome environment, and it's just a single click. You know how you find speech to text? Well, you can just go down, scroll down, find reading mode, turn it on, and it opens up as a side panel to whatever the student has to read. Works best with like websites, articles, PDFs, books. Gets more complicated when you're talking OCR readers and all that other stuff. But in terms of just having something that can now modify what's on the student's screen, reading mode is like a quick access right away tool that they can now take whatever has been provided to them, and that learner agency, now they can customize that experience to what works best for them. How it looks, what color it is, how big the font is, how much it's spaced out. And then the cool feature that, because I'm always looking for like that text to speech feature. So, typically it's been third-party vendors. Well, that's built in. It has that read aloud option. So it'll just read the text. And then it's got, that research-based, where it follows along with the word. It has that ability as well for the student. So I came across, they said this dyslexia-friendly font. It used to be, I forget what that other dyslexia font was called, but they say that Lixend is the latest and greatest dyslexia font, I guess. So I've never seen the research on these dyslexia fonts, so I wonder about them. But if anybody knows, like, hey, yeah, I have a student who this font really works for them. So, but anyways, it has that option. There's a short little video on the next slide. I can probably show you that, or maybe Mimi, you can click on. Let's click on the right one, and you can kind of make that big, and she probably explains it a little better than I do, or she can show
All right,
you.
hello. I want to show you a helpful new feature. Well, really, I guess an improvement to a feature in Google Chrome. So if you were familiar and used to Google Chrome, there's a lot of awesome accessibility features. And one of them, reading mode, just got an awesome update. And that's specifically that it now has text to speech. So I have reading mode pinned as one of my favorite tools. If you have not used it before, you can get to it from your Chrome menu, and then you can go to more tools, and then you can access it here. I have mine pinned, so I clicked and dragged it, but you can also favorite tools, so they show up there. So to open reading mode, you have to be in Chrome browser, and essentially what reading mode does is it provides a friendly screen reading and different interface for any type of website that you're looking at. So it plays really nicely with websites, sometimes news articles and things like that. It can also work with, but I have it open here and you have a lot of accessibility options. So the new feature is just the ability for it to be reading out loud to you. So if I wanted it to read aloud this website, I can easily do that now. I just click play.
I didn't hear the voice.
I can change my voices here. I can change the language. I can change the reading speed. There's also now adaptive highlighting. So it highlights the words as they go. You can highlight one word at a time as it's reading out loud. There's also the ability to increase and decrease the size of the text, change the font style, the colors. I had mine in dark mode, but you can change it to different ones. But the new awesome feature is just this reading aloud feature. So if you're wanting to give your students the option to read with their ears, if you have some students who have that accommodation written into their IEPs, this is just another tool that you can give them. Not every assistive tech tool is a good fit for all of your students, so it's nice to give some options. And now Google has just provided yet another one.
Thanks, Mimi. I like a couple things she said there, the read with your ears. I've never heard that. And then what else did she do that I liked? I can't remember, but anyways. So I like that. She calls it a new feature. It may be old for some of you. I think it was released in 2024, but I like that. And then the other plus, they're constantly in development. They're introducing their AI tools in these things, and they're kind of playing with it not just being a side panel, but being in like a full view. So I would just say, like, kind of keep checking in. They keep developing these things and making them better. So, and they're already there, available. Okay.
Rudy, I'm going to jump in real quick for this one. One of the things that was really powerful about it being kind of a built-in accessibility is as you dive into more like AT tools, right, and doing more like features and things, that oftentimes what you'll do is you'll layer your extensions on top of each other. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this as you play it, but sometimes the more extension you layer on top of each other, like third-party things that you're pulling, the more things don't work. The more things break down, and I can't open this. And so when it's a built-in accessibility, you know that it's compatible, and you know it'll work right away, and the students are going to have less barriers to encounter when they're trying to access this tool to help them with the task that they're trying to accomplish. So something to keep in mind, I always try to want to say, hey, what tool am I using, and what are the already built-in accessibility? So great that you brought this to our attention, Rudy.
Yeah, thanks, Mimi. And you also reminded me about how she pinned it to her toolbar. For that exact reason. And so if anybody knows how to do that, tell me later, because that's a cool tip and trick instead of having to go hunting for it. And the next slide. So I'm not going to go too in depth into this, but I just wanted to highlight kind of like what's coming, what's coming in 2026. Basically, these tools are evolving. And Google right now, it's in a research experiment, not a research experiment. They call it Google Labs, or they're playing with like these new tools. And essentially, I know Mimi mentioned you guys learned about Notebook LM last week. That's an awesome tool for it's like a study partner. Takes all your resources, right? It's a controlled environment, and you can kind of chat and interact and listen to with that in that environment. Learn Your Way is kind of like it's taking all those tools, and now you're able to kind of take a textbook and then you can customize it to what interests you and what you like. So I like basketball. So now I'm learning about volcanoes, and now it'll use examples about basketball as I'm learning about volcanoes. And what they're showing is that in terms of that learner agency, when you can customize your learning experience based on your interests, you retain more. So it's better for like retention of information, not just here's information, eat it, consume it. Learn Your Way allows you to kind of, make it your own. And then when you have that buy-in, you remember more. That's kind of what the early research is showing. So that's kind of some things that they're experimenting with. What's in that next slide that I have? I kind of just gave you the quick about it. Let's see. Let's just skip down to the little demo real quick. You guys could take a peek at those. And if you can make that big, Mimi, and see what.
Google just changed education forever. They've launched Learn Your Way, an experimental AI-augmented textbook system that could replace traditional learning as we know it. Traditional textbooks are static. They're one-size-fits-all PDFs that don't adapt to your grade level, learning pace, or personal interests. But Learn Your Way changes that. It uses Gemini 2.5 Pro to transform regular textbooks into personalized, interactive, multimodal learning experiences. Here's how it works. First, the core content gets rewritten to match your grade level and even your hobbies. For example, Newton's third law can be explained using basketball or art references. Second, the system generates class-like slides with AI narration, just like a real lecture. Third, AI creates audio lessons and teacher-student dialogues, helping you understand concepts in real time while clearing misconceptions. Fourth, content is transformed into interactive mind maps so you can zoom in and out of key concepts. Fifth, events or processes are turned into visual timelines and AI-generated memory aids, making them easier to recall. Finally, visual illustrations are customized to your personal interests. For example, economics can be explained with soccer transfer markets. And that's not all. The system includes practice quizzes and embedded questions inside the text itself, turning reading into an active learning experience. Immediate feedback helps you identify gaps before moving on. But does it actually work? In a randomized controlled study with 60 high school students, those who used Learn Your Way scored 77% versus 64% on immediate assessments compared to students using a digital PDF reader. Even after 3 days, retention was significantly higher. Students also reported that Learn Your Way was more engaging, enjoyable, and effective for long-term learning. So, what does this mean for the future of education? It's not just about digitizing textbooks anymore. With generative AI, every student could have a tailored, adaptive, and interactive learning companion, one that matches their grade, interests, and learning style. If adopted at scale, this could reshape classrooms worldwide, making learning more personal, more engaging, and ultimately more effective. Google calls Learn Your Way a research experiment, but it's a glimpse into the future where textbooks aren't just read, they evolve with you.
Thanks, Mimi. I don't know why I got a couple. You could either be, wow, that's exciting, or
Google
wow, I'm
just
terrified. So, but I just like to pop that in there because, you have lots of feelings around AI. There's all the privacy things, but, I think as educators, or, when you work with students, you're out in the field, we can shape that conversation or decide how to kind of, how it can be a tool for learning, I should say. So anyways, that's kind of what's on the horizon.
So if you're interested in kind of playing with it, like Rudy mentioned, they are still in the experimental phase for this project. They do take people who are interested in, let's say you have like a PDF or some couple of textbook pages that of like a lesson plan or content that you already have, and you want to try to see how they personalize it or how they change the grade level, things like that, you can kind of ask to participate in this. So they're looking for like people who are willing to just play around the tool. So that's an option for you as well. One of the really cool things about Learn Your Ways, I've seen lots of tools right now, AI to think of like just plain ChatGPT or Ludia or even Notebook LM, any of these chatbots, right? I've seen them change the grade level text. So if your kiddo's reading at a second or third grade level, I've seen a lot of tools do that. I've yet to kind of see one that will cater like their preference of if you're interested in photography or sports or things like that. Yeah, Diffit is another one that can change the grade level. I've yet to kind of see the one where they incorporate the interest, and we thought that was really relevant to learner agency, and just kind of want to update you guys on that one. So this link, right? So this is that wait list I talked about where you can upload your PDF on your like your whatever content that you want and see how they modify. You can do that one. But they also have a section where you can try it now. Let's say you're doing a lesson on economic system, right? You can play with it, and if you click it, they'll ask you, are you a middle schooler that likes soccer, or are you a high schooler that likes video or like cinema and things like that? And so when I was playing with it, when I click this, they relate the idea of the economic system to sports a little bit. And then for the high schooler that was more engaged with cinema, they included more videos. And same thing with kind of, so yeah, you could play around with like so if you click on, let's say we were curious about like the carbon idea, right? Middle schooler who likes astronomy versus an undergrad who likes art. So if we click on that one, it's kind of personalizing the material, and it'll kind of tells you what it learns, right? Remember the topic's about carbon's importance of life. And so then there's a little quiz and stuff like that. So and then I went, okay, did that look different than the other one? So when I went back and I picked the one that was more related to art, you know, they had more pictures and more of things like that, little adjustment. This one didn't have too many, but they were trying to personalize it. So just a fun little thing to kind of experiment with yourself. If you also would like to dive into more data and the research behind it, the Learn Your Way team, part of the Google team that created this program, they also have like they partner with Cornell University to kind of talk about learner agency and how it improves retention using this program, kind of like a small little abstract research study. So if you're interested, we also put that information in the home page document for you. We have about 6 minutes left, so I want to kind of spend the time giving space for you guys to ask your questions, share your knowledge about what you've heard today, or some other tools that you feel like the team, the participants in here could really benefit from. So feel free to drop in the chat or unmute yourself. We'll take a minute to kind of reflect.
I'd love to hear reflections. Any thoughts from the group?
And if you've used some of these tools as well, tell us how that went for you and how did your students respond? Marcy says she really loves the reading mode. Yeah, it's a simple but really powerful tool that it could help really lower barriers for our students.
Mm-hmm.
Book Creator tool. Lisa likes Book Creator. Yes, play with it. I recommend create a free account, play with it, make your own books, and just kind of play with all the fun features. Keep the chats coming. Kind of for a small intentional close today, we're going to do a little fun activity. I challenge you guys to do your own agency challenge. So for the rest of this week and next week, I want you to kind of look at the students you work with or the educators, and I want you to either notice, name it, or try it. And so what I mean by that is maybe watch for a moment of student agency. And I want you to just notice it. Or maybe you want to name it and call it out. So explicitly name a choice that a student make. Or 3, try it. Introduce a new tool or strategy that you learned or heard about today. So what I would love to do is, which one are you going to commit to? So type the word or drop the emoji in the chat to let us know what you'll try this week. Will you notice it, name it, or try it? I love it. So Marcy said, learn your way looks interesting too. It looks like you need to fill out a survey to gain access. Yep. Emily shares such great tools. Book Creator seems like such an incredible tool to build so much creativity, agency for students. Yep. Oh, Charlotte's gonna make a book with Book Creator. Ah, Lisa's gonna notice it. I love it. Yeah. Keep those chat coming. And we have about 2-3 minutes left. And as you guys are kind of continuing thinking about how you'll practice or implement what we talked about today, we would love your feedback. We kind of pour over all of your responses to see how we can make next inclusive learning circle benefit you guys. And we also take suggestion. If you will fill out the feedback survey, we can scan the QR code. We'll also drop it in the chat as well. We'll appreciate it. Oh, Aileen said Book Creator reading response book is great. Lots of ways to follow up on books read in class together. Notice that. Oh, Eileen's gonna notice it. I love it. Oh, Andrea, you're gonna give your eyes a break in practice reading mode. Yeah. And so I'll go ahead and drop the chat server. Oops, sorry about that. Thank you, Lori. Lori just went ahead and dropped the feedback survey. If you'll take a quick minute to fill out that, we'd appreciate it. And just a reminder, our next Learning Circle is on February 18th, and that's going to be on the topic of UDL. And Emily is going to tell us all about representation. We hope to see you there. The link to the flyer and registration is on the home-based document. And so we hope to see you there. And our next AT related one will be in April. So we hope to see you there. And for any of the practitioners out there, if you're interested in kind of presenting with open access, please reach out to me. If you know of a tool that you're like really resonates with you and you want to share with kind of our fellow educators, we welcome that as well. The next topic for our AT is related around executive functioning and how we can build up students' skills around that. So we welcome you to do that as well with us. I love it. Great. And I think I'm going to give you a minute back of your time. I thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us. We're on lots of different social, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. You can follow along with us for open access there. And once again, I want to thank Andrea and Rudy for being here with us. And thank you so much for participating and sharing and having such a attentive spirit about you guys. We hope to see you at the next Inclusive Learning Circle. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.